Greetings and welcome. Now, apologies if I'm sounding a bit like a broken record at the moment. I think my last 4 or 5 videos have been on the same subject of media lies and misinformation, but it just makes me angry. It makes me really angry and I have to vent it. So Ofcom now are on their 4th investigation onto GB News. The latest one is a segment that Neil Oliver done. This is the one in question.
And yes, there is obviously disappointment because the BBC and others are driving this narrative. Those terrifying, supposedly terrifying temperatures that were being predicted, all starting with a 4, 40 this and 40 that, were obtained by using satellite images of ground temperature, how hot the ground actually was to touch. That's never been the temperature that's used in weather reporting and weather forecasting.
Now, your usual suspects have come out in defence of GB News.
Another day and another Ofcom investigation into GB News. Why? Because the leftists don't like the channel.
No, it's nothing to do with not liking your views. It's got everything to do with the fact you are blatantly lying on live TV. What Neil Oliver said there is a blatant lie. Even Matt Taylor, the meteorologist for the BBC, has come out and said this is a complete lie. We've never taken temperatures from satellite footage. And it's just a blatant lie. Now, I've reiterated this on so many of my videos. I don't have a problem. If you want to share your right-wing views on GB News, I have no issue with that. If you want to share it on YouTube, on the internet, I have no issue with that at all. But you should be able to do it. If you're so confident in your views, you should be able to do it without lying. What Neil Oliver said there is a complete lie. He might have some basis for his argument if the BBC were the only ones reporting on these record temperatures, but every single news corporation in Europe is reporting on the same temperatures. Even bloody Al Jazeera. I mean, if any news network was going to have some sort of bias and trying to defend oil and be anti-climate change, it would be Al Jazeera, the Middle Eastern news company. So why is Neil Oliver doing this? I mean, why is he trying to undermine, well, temperature? I mean, he's basically just arguing with thermometers now, isn't he? That's what it's come down to. Why is he trying to undermine the climate science? I'm sure it's got nothing to do with Alan McCormick, the main investor in GB News, the head of Dubai-based investment firm Legantum, who spent most of his time, most of his career working for JP Morgan, one of the biggest investment banks in oil and gas. I'm sure it's got nothing to do with that at all, has it? Who Greenpeace state invested over 145k in trying to debunk climate science. I'm sure it's got nothing to do with that at all. Now, I get a lot of grief from GB News viewers going, you're not for freedom of speech, you know, just because you're a lefty, you don't like different ideas, you don't like different ideas expressed. As I have to keep reiterating, I've got no problem with people with different ideas. I have a problem with lies. That's what gets me angry. And that, unquestionably, from Neil Oliver, is a blatant lie. And the same with the other investigations that Ofcom are going into. They're going into their anti-vax stuff.
I mean, it's not surprising a mass murder has taken place, and it's not over. The evidence, you mentioned the drop in childbirth. There's a 20% drop in newborns being born around the world.
She says that with such conviction, doesn't she? Like she's got all the evidence on her side. Mass murder. Such confidence. She says that with birth rates are down because of the vaccine. There's no evidence for that. There's no evidence for that at all. There is evidence that birth rates have gone down. Across the world, birth rates have gone round. There's no evidence linking it to the vaccines. What's more plausible is the fact that during the heights of a global pandemic in 2020, 2021, people thought, you know what, it's probably not the best time to start a family. It's probably not the best time to become pregnant during a worldwide pandemic. Now, I don't have the evidence to back that up. It seems more plausible to me, but she's saying this thing with utter confidence. And I also love the fact how they try and portray this woman as an expert in her field, a doctor, Dr. Naomi Wolf. Naomi Wolf, American feminist author, journalist. She's a doctor of philosophy. I really wish they'd just keep that doctor to actual doctors and scientists. If you've got a master's degree in philosophy, I don't think you're a doctor, to be honest. And it's please, just understand what GB News is. They're not this freedom-loving news organisation that want to promote freedom of speech and the freedom for us here in the public to be able to say what we want and do what... They're not about that. It's the same bollocks as always. This Alan McCormick that owns the biggest share of GB News, he's just a power-hungry billionaire, like Murdoch, like all the others that want to buy into media organisations. It's a power grab. They want the power. What's left? After they've become a billionaire, what's left? They want more power. They want to be able to control your views, okay? And they want to be able to protect their interests. So he's using GB News to get you sceptical about climate change so he can protect his oil and gas shares, okay? He wants you talking about vaccines and scared about vaccines, because then you're not thinking, you know what, it's pretty shit at the moment because multi-billionaires like GB News owners are getting richer and richer, and I'm down here getting poorer and poorer. They don't want you talking about that, because that's the number one issue right now. As I've reiterated in so many of my videos, the number one issue that everyone should be concerned about right now. I don't care about LGBT flags or woke nonsense or Snow White or whatever rubbish GB News want you talking about. The number one issue that we need to be concerned about right now is everyone is poor as fuck. And these guys, like Alan McCormick, that owns GB News, is getting richer and richer and richer. That's what we should be concerned about, and that's what he doesn't want you concerned about, which is why he's filling his programme with anti-vax rubbish and getting you kept sceptical about climate change. That's why it makes me angry, and that's why I've done 4 videos in a row. I promise the next video will be on a different subject. Give me your thoughts, guys. What do you think? Till next time, take care.